folks, Scott here with a special project video for you today. I'm between card kits and it's almost Thanksgiving, so I need to get rolling on some Christmas projects. This was inspired by the Love from Lizzie August 2017 card kit. This was my little special bonus project with that 10 card kit. I loved this vellum piece so much that I made this nice little cookbook. And it wasn't literally a day or two after I posted that 10 card video that Beverly Stotts, a fellow crafter and a follower online, contacted me and said she had run across some great pattern paper, some Bo Bunny pattern paper called the Family Recipe Collection, and that it was on sale at scrapbook.com. I should go take a look. She thought it would work perfectly for this little cookbook, and by gum, she was right. These are great. This is the 12 by 12 Family Recipes recipe cards pattern paper from Bo Bunny. This is absolutely perfect. It went so well. When I realized my original cookbook here, I just used index cards. These are 4 by 6 index cards, cut slits to pop them in. I thought those would work very fine. And with 6 recipe cards per 12 by 12 paper, that means that each one of these is 4 by 6. So of course they do match so nicely. I immediately bought a bunch of those sheets. I also bought the Bo Bunny Family Recipes Collection 6 by 6 paper. I thought that I would need something to take the place of this nice strawberry pattern paper from the Love from Lizzie kit. So you want to see what we came up with for the actual gift. I'm very pleased with this. I decided that we would make these gifts as a regifter. I was really fascinated by the idea of giving somebody a gift that they then have to do something with, and then they can give it to somebody else. So this has personalization, Casey and Charlie's favorite recipes. Inside, yes, we got those beautiful, beautiful recipe cards. I also put some stuff on the side over here. We'll get to that in a minute. This is the cookbook in finished gift form. I thought I would share with you how I made these today and hope that I don't bollocks it up because it is a Christmas present. Here are all the supplies for one book. I based this whole book and the dimensions on a half sheet of cardstock. This is a half sheet of cardstock, so this is 8.5 by 5.5. I based everything off of that original measurement. So I've got 12 pages here. I've got 2 covers, a front and back cover, a front and back spine, all of my recipe cards, my note cards. This is all my stuff. Let's talk about the main image on the cover. I originally got that Bo Bunny pattern paper thinking that I would be able to use some of this pattern paper as pattern paper for the big focal point, but I couldn't find anything that I liked. The gingham, some of them were just a little too large to be used in that space. So I found a red polka dot pattern, which echoes the red polka dot that was on that original vellum piece. So I took this red polka dot pattern and printed it up on some of my ivory cardstock, and this is going to be our main piece. I did use my American Crafts border punch to punch the heart scallop border. That is the same thing that I did on the original book. I just punched that in pattern paper. Now this is just printed on my Staples ivory cardstock, and I did find some of this pattern paper from this set that I thought matched very well with the colors and had little spots, little bitty mini milk caps. So I cut those into strips and used those on the top and bottom of that ivory cardstock. I outlined those with the Love from Lizzie peel-offs There you go. I have the new sentiment on the top of that. I was very pleased. I thought this came out very nicely, and though it doesn't quite have the lovely strawberries and everything that were featured on this, I think it works very well, and it does have that great gold foil embossing. We'll set that aside and let that dry, and we'll start working on the covers. The main cover is 8 inches wide by 5 3/4 inches tall. It's just 1/4 inch taller than the page. It does have a binding strip on the side, an extra strip. This is cut to 7/8 of an inch, almost a whole inch. So once taken all together, this is almost 9 inches long. Front cover and spine, back cover and spine. For the hinges, I use this Tyvek. This is a priority mail envelope. They're made of Tyvek. It is non-tearable. It is really, really strong. I think they wrap houses in this. This is a little difficult to cut, and you may need to use your craft knife to actually cut it. I think I actually cut this with a craft knife, but it's worth using it as a hinge because it's virtually indestructible. So I have 4 pieces here for hinges. These pieces are 5/8 inch wide, and I cut them about 6 inches, just so I have a little extra at the ends for play. Now I colored 2 of these with my Distress ink in antique linen. Just colored them very lightly with linen. These are the ones that are going to go on the outside of the book, and they get covered with my little heart washi tape, and I wanted them to have a fairly light color behind it, so the washi tape read well. These 2 I actually colored up with a DR7 Spectrum Noir pen. These will be the inside of the hinges, so the inside of the book. Now to attach the hinges to the chipboard, I use 1/4 inch score tape, which is why these are cut to 5/8. So it leaves a little gap right in the middle where the hinge falls, where they will fold. You can see that that doesn't quite come together. It leaves it open a little bit. I've already done 3 of these. Let's do the 4th. Just add some 1/4 inch score tape to the back side of this. The score tape works really, really well. I think it's the strongest, most permanent tape out there. There we go. Just press that down. It adheres very nicely. I love score tape. I use it for anything that needs to be really, really, really firmly glued. So for the front, I want the light colored piece. And I'll pull my little grid mat over just to help me line this up and attach just 1/4 inch or even a little bit less than that 1/4 inch right on the edge of your chipboard. We are covering this with the washi tape, so it does not have to be perfect. So there you go. You can see there's no adhesive right there in the center. This is where we're going to put the spine. So I actually punched holes in the spine. There you go. You can see those. I punched holes in the spine with a 1/8 inch hole punch that I have. I punched them in one, and then I used that as a pattern for all of the other ones. I used that as a pattern for the papers. I believe this hole is like 1 3/8 up from each edge, and they're just slightly off-center, just to the right, which is where we want to attach to the book. So this is the front, this is inside. So to attach these, I just line up the edges of the spine and the edge of the front cover, take the liner off of the score tape, and fold it over onto the spine. You want this to be fairly tight, but because the 2 pieces are on top of each other, it will automatically give you that space between the 2 of them to be a hinge. So there you go. That's one side of the hinge. You do need to do this on both sides. This is the front, this is the inside, so I'm using one of the colored ones for the inside of the book. Peel off the liner tape. I will fold this over again, line it up on my grid, attach 1/2 of the score tape with the Tyvek envelope. Press that down nice and firmly. Flip it over. Peel off the second piece of liner paper. Make sure those are lined up nice and even. And then pull it up onto itself again. We'll trim all this down once it's together and make everything nice and flush. I really like that dark red Spectrum Noir marker on that Tyvek paper. Very cool. Take our scissors, trim off the excess, the same on the other side. And there's our front cover and hinge. I'm going to do the same for the back cover. So there's our front and back covers assembled with their hinges. The lighter side of the envelope Tyvek is on the outsides. It will get covered with washi tape. The darker are on the insides. Let's decorate the front. This is going to go over here. I made the mistake of putting my washi tape down once and then put this down and nothing was square. So being my anal retentive self, I'm going to use my T-square. So let's glue this up first. This again is going to be a combination of dry adhesive and wet adhesive because I want those little scallops to be glued down as well. So I'll use my dry adhesive on the edges and the main body of it. And then we'll take my multi-medium matte and just touch the edges. I got a little in the hole there. There you go. The great thing about ATG tape is it wipes off really easily, especially in the first half hour of its life once it's down. And I do want to put some touches of glue on these scallops. The multi-matte medium is a great glue to use because it dries matte. You can't really see it if you make a mistake and the tape and the glue goes all over somewhere you didn't want it. It will pretty much dry completely clear and matte, so there's no shiny spot. I use this as my liquid glue 100% of the time. I mean, occasionally I'll pull in my Aleene's tacky glue. Okay, front cover, T-square. I want this fairly close to the hinge, but not right on top of it. And for goodness sake, I do want it, squared up with the cover. Excellent, perfect placement. A little rub down gets rid of any of the extra glue that may have seeped out. And there we go. There's our main event right there. Now, I did look all over the place for some book plate frames of this size. This is a really big book plate. I don't know where Lizzie got them. This was included in the kit. This is pattern paper from the kit. I looked all over for book plates this size. I couldn't find them that size, but I did find them smaller. So I actually like this. I don't think it competes for attention as much as the bigger one does. Now, I didn't want to put the brads through the cover of the book, so I just put the brads in and spread the brads behind it, and this will glue right down to the top. Again, the multi-medium matte will hold this metal right down to the cover of the book with no problem. I won't be quite so anal and use my use my T-square to place this. This is fairly easy. I want a little higher than the bottom part of that, and about in the center. Because it's all the liquid glue, got a little time to fuss with that and get it right where I want it. I did create this on my silhouette. Now, what I do when I do sentiments like this, especially if I have a background on it, is I'll type out the sentiment in the font, color that black, then I'll do an offset, very small offset in white or clear or no color. This is yellowish because, again, this is all printed on my ivory cardstock. And then I'll add another offset that has the pattern in it. I think that helps keep the pattern and the text from fighting against each other. You got a little bit of a white outline around the text. And of course, that's the same polka dot pattern paper, a little smaller, same polka dot as in the sentiment there. This, easy enough. Same thing, we'll use liquid glue on these. Though I just printed one of these, I did cut 4 of them. So I glued them all together so it makes a nice chunky kind of a chipboard piece all of its own. So we'll put this above favorite recipes. Again, it's liquid glue, so I have a little bit of time to fuss. Press that down nicely. And we want to do some eyelets. We got to put some eyelets in these holes. We can't just leave these holes raw. These are cheap eyelets. These are like a Doris eyelet beginner pack. I'm using the gold ones. I need 2 for the front cover. I need 2 for the back cover. You don't need a special grommet tool. All you need is a hammer. I think almost everybody has a hammer. So these eyelets come in 2 pieces. You have a flat piece and you have a dimensional piece. Now this is what's going to get bent down around this flat piece. So the pretty side of this eyelet will be the top of the dimensional piece. So I want that on the outside of my cover. So I put that big dimensional piece in the outside of the cover. Take the flat pieces on the back. Your little tool comes with this beginner eyelet set. A few quick hits with a hammer, and you've got a perfect little eyelet. And the pretty side is on the front. These eyelets are sized for a 1/8 inch hole. Let's put our eyelets on the back. This is the back side. I want the pretty on the back side. So the dimensional eyelets go through the back to the inside. And you can take your frustrations out. It does not take much at all. These are very soft, of course. Great, nice eyelets. Works perfectly. I love this set. It's a really inexpensive set, but it gives you a great assortment of eyelets. You get gold, you get silver, and then you got, these are like white and black and pink and green and purple and red. A whole assortment of eyelets that I will probably never use all of them for the rest of my life. Now we can take and put the washi tape on. So I just pull out a piece, a little bit larger. I had this washi tape in my stash. I picked it because it's red and because of the hearts on the big focal point. It's nice to have something really nice and straight and square to cover your Tyvek strips, just in case your Tyvek strips aren't cut perfectly straight or perfectly square. I'll trim this off. Because it's washi tape, I do want to add a little bit of liquid glue to the ends of this. It's because it's going to be used and bent back and forth, it will get some stretch going on. So I'll take peel back just a little bit of the end, put some of my multimedia matte just on the end, a little bit on the edges, just so this end piece is not going to peel up. Ever, ever, ever. You could use some of this glue behind all of the washi tape. I think, or at least I'm hoping, that a little bit on the ends will prevent it from pulling up. I will take my little bone folder, give that a tiny bit of a burnish down. There's our back cover all done. And we'll add the washi tape to the front cover. Now I want my washi tape to be square to the sentiment piece. So much easier to do when your sentiment is already there. See, so I'm a little bit off on my Tyvek strip, but I can camouflage that with my washi tape. Close enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. It is handmade. And I believe that every little imperfection is a gem to cherish, because that's what tells people that somebody actually took the time, the care, and the attention to make this for you. So there's our washi tape on the front. I like that. I think it goes very well with this whole theme here. We'll pull back the edges, just like we did on the back. Add some multimedia matte to both ends. Make sure you get a little bit on the side edges as well. I want to protect this end and the two side edges right at the bottom. See, I've got just a tiny little bit of that envelope peeking out from over there, but I'm not going to let that worry me. I'm more concerned with that space being even. That looks really nice. Let's work on our pages now. Now, since I only used little strips of the pattern paper for this big focal image, I decided that I needed to do something else with all that pattern paper. I bought it, I spent money on it, I have to use it. I decided to make a place to take notes on the recipe. So I actually scanned in the back of one of these recipe cards just so I could get the line spacing correct and a close approximation of the font there. I created this in my Silhouette, of course. This is really very pleased with how this turned out. Very close. It's the exact same spacing of lines as on the recipe cards. I actually went through and created this little scallop piece in my Silhouette. One of my favorite things about the Silhouette is that if you're careful and take your time, you can actually cut pieces out of paper and use virtually the entire piece of paper. So this is a piece of 6x6" pattern paper that went through my Silhouette and cut all of these scallop pieces out. It fits in perfectly there. There is hardly any waste whatsoever on that pattern paper. I wanted to get as many pieces as I possibly could out of this pattern paper pack because a lot of them actually match the recipe cards exactly. So this is one of my thrill things of my Silhouette, is that with a little care and patience, you can get your Silhouette to cut virtually to the edge of any piece of paper. Now, you may be wondering why I made scallops on the note size. If you hadn't noticed on these recipes, they're all scalloped on the edges. Now, I didn't think it was necessary to make as small a scallop as that, but I did think that the scallops was a nice echo of that on our little notepads to the side. These are very easy to attach together because the scallops are regular, and especially on this piece, it's stripes. So all I have to do is line up the stripes. I know, isn't that awful? I have a pink ATG gun. It was the only color they had when I was looking to buy one. Okay, there's my paper. Here's my little scallop sheet. Close, but no cigar. if it's on this striped paper and it's off, you're really going to be able to see it. There you go. That's better. So the pages, again, I said these are 8.5 by 5.5. These are scored on the end 3/4 of an inch in. So one score, 3/4 of an inch in from the side. These have the holes already punched in them. To make this assembly a little easier on myself, I actually went in and created a couple of templates. So I could almost assembly line this, make it happen very quickly. This is my Martha Stewart scoring board. I love this thing because it's so big. So here's my notes and my recipes. To the right, here's my pages. Now the recipes are going to go on the front side here. This will be holes towards me to begin with. I put this in the corner of my scoreboard and pull in this template. Now that's going to show me where my card actually goes. This is where it sits. That puts it very nicely in the center of the page. Now I of course didn't want to cut slits in these pages, especially now that I have something on the back of them. So I went and found these lovely gold photo corners, and we're going to use those to hold the recipes in place. Now, you want to be able to take the recipes out of the book, number one, to fill them out, but because there's also a back, so more information could be included on the back of them. I found these great gold photo corners on Amazon, I believe, and so I figured that would be a really nice way to bring a little glitz into the center of the book as well. So make sure these are both held up in the corners. And press it down. And take a second to make sure you're nice and square in your corner. Press it down. Oh, that one's done. And that's number 12. So we'll work our way backwards to put the note section on. So this is the back page. This doesn't get anything on it. This side of the back page gets the notes. For this side, I'm putting the holes to the top. I'm using this other template piece that actually has a fold at the top, so I know where it is. I would generally fold these as I completed them. Use this template. I will return to my ATG gun for these. And with this nice little template, I just have to put it up against the side, notes on the left, and press it down. And there you go, nice and centered on the page. This is the next to the last page. Now I've finished my last page, and you may think, uh-oh, I've got one more left, but this one goes behind the front cover, because the first page of your book is your first recipe. So this goes on the back The template's not quite cut the same size, but it's fairly easy to line it up in the center. There's our 12 pages, there's our front cover, there's our back cover, and now we get to bind it. I'm just using some simple twine from my stash. I've had this in the tool closet forever. This is my standard twine. This is actually really nice twine. It's very even, very clean. There's not a lot of hairies on it. Now, to thread this through my eyelets and all my holes, I just take a piece of Scotch tape and I'm going to create a little, there's a name for these, I think. It's like the end of your shoelace that's got the plastic covering so it goes through your holes, your eyelets so easy. There you go. There's a simple instant Scotch tape needle. So I've got 3 feet of twine here. I'm going to go down from the top through my eyelet. My 12 sheets should stack up nice, and I should be able to thread right through all 12 of those. There you go. Then through my back cover, and then repeat going in the opposite direction from the back through the pages and out the front. Pull those up to make those even, and then we're going to tie our bow. If I don't have an extra finger around, I'll pull it snug and then put my reverse tweezers on top of that, and that will hold it pretty tight while I assemble the bow. It's when you're tightening up your bow that you get to decide where and how it's going to lay. This came together really nicely, amazingly quick. I usually have to fuss around with my bows a lot more than that. Very nice. I'm very pleased with that bow. Maybe we'll make it just a touch smaller. It's a really nice tight binding on the end. Trim off the excess, just a little less than the width of the cover. And then I will go in with my multi-medium mat, and I will add glue to that bow. Just try and squirt it in there where it's tied, just so it has a little less chance of coming undone. Again, it dries matte, so no one will ever notice. Once it's dry, it's virtually invisible. And there we go. We have completed another cookbook. I'm very pleased with these. I managed to get 4 different ones put together. I'm totally fascinated with the concept of giving this to somebody and saying, okay, now you have to put your recipes in this and then give it to somebody else. Either all my friends are going to hate me, it's going to get thrown in a drawer somewhere. Hopefully these are nice enough that people will want to use them. I think it's a great idea to give somebody a gift and then make another gift of it. And who knows, next Christmas, I may get all 4 of them back. But if I do, that's 48 new recipes that I'll have from my friends and family. Merry Christmas, everybody. It's before Thanksgiving. I'm thrilled that I've got these done. Onward to Christmas cards and other Christmas projects. Thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate you sharing your time with me. If you want more project videos, let me know. I hope you enjoyed yourself today, ladies and gentlemen. If you did, please like me, list me, pin me, post me, share me with all your friends, and happy crafting. If you'd like more detailed information, product links, and better pictures, please go to my blog at cardcutups.wordpress.com.